Hey there, Rooster Teeth fans. Welcome to another episode of, actually, our very first episode of the Nomad of Nowhere After Show. Tonight, we are talking about episode 1, The Dreaded Nomad. We are going to be breaking down this premiere episode, talking about the initial world building, the characters, and of course, the shipping potential that is in store. Thank you guys. It's going to be fun. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh my gosh, guys! We've been waiting for this for so long. I'm so excited. Oh yeah, for those of you listening on iTunes, we are pointing emphatically to our logo, which has Nomad of Nowhere.
What's that next to it? We'll get to that later.
Oh, that's
we don't know yet.
That's for the future, Mark. That's for the future. But anyway, hey there, Rooster Teeth fans. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Nomad of Nowhere After Show. I'm your host, Megan Salinas, and to my left is Mark Donica.
I'm also Mark Donica. What? And to my left, I don't want to say her name because that's weird. Because she's going to introduce her own damn self.
Stacey Shuttleworth, and to my left. Hi, all my buddies. I'm Katie Cullen, and back to my left,
Megan Salinas again. Hey.
We have a tradition, and I want to say it.
Indeed.
Cannot break.
Indeed. Guys, I can't tell you how excited I am that we're finally getting a chance to talk about this show. For you guys listening out there, Katie's got you covered on the live chat. And those of you guys following along on Twitter, we are going to be keeping an eye on the hashtag RTReviews. So, as a heads up, guys, we are only going with public release. We are only talking about episode 1, not episode 2. So please, in the comments and the live chat, please be considerate to other people who might not have watched the second episode on the site yet. So,
Spoiler free.
Don't do it. Be cool. Be cool.
We're staying in the briar patch for this one.
We are indeed. Public release
Cool kids
only.
don't give spoilers.
Yes.
But they do smoke.
That.
No, they don't do that either. Hold on. Wait a minute. Whoa.
The views expressed by those are those only. Thank you.
Not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
That's my dad. That's not true. I've never met him. Like my dad. Wait. I'm sorry. It's been a really long day. Keep me on.
I was loopy today. No.
That is okay, guys. Thank you, Steve, for the legal disclaimer. No worries. It has been a long day, and I will be gobsmacked if I can't just say that this show pulls at my heartstrings a lot. So we are emotionally exhausted here. Anywho, guys, this was a heck of a first episode. I just wanted to go around the table. Mark, let's start with you, if that's all right. What are your guys' initial thoughts for this pilot?
I see the pitch meeting as, what if Avatar happened in Texas?
You're not wrong.
And here we are.
Absolutely not
and
wrong.
that's not necessarily a bad thing. I like how a lot of the cast seems to be Spanish speakers.
Yes.
If not necessarily from Mexico, but from various Central American countries or whatever. But I like how that there is that sort of representation in it, and some of the animals are just too cute.
That armadillo, though.
Well, some of the animals you look at and you go, I get why Fox did the Ewoks. I get it, and this is and I mean we already saw with the first line of merch that came from Nomad, but it's
all
like
of the giant eyes.
all they need to
so
do
cute.
is sell a pack of googly eyes with a Nomad of Nowhere logo on it, and they got themselves some cheap. You can take that, but send me my check as per usual. But it's solid show so far.
It's like if the Vandal Eyes movement could bring things to life. And for those of you who don't know, the Vandal Eyes movement was started by Ann Wheaton, I believe, and it's just slapping googly eyes on random things. So
You guys make everything better?
They do.
Like to add.
Hashtag slapping googs.
Hashtag Vandal Eyes, EYES.
I create life, and then you just actually just super glue eyes onto a rock, and then you're like,
It's a jump cut.
Mission accomplished. And little like pipe cleaner arms and legs. I want one of these now.
for sure.
Can we have a craft corner in the community area for RTX where we make our own little rock buddies? Can we do that?
I'm here for this.
Well,
I will help with this idea.
Did anybody see the photos from the launch party? That's what the crew did.
They made rock buddies?
Yeah, that was
adorable.
like the
No,
night
I
before the
missed
launch.
that.
It was the entire crew made their own minions.
That sounds adorable.
I
It is
missed
pretty
that, and I'm
fucking
not
cute.
surprised.
Well, it's shout out to Al McLennan, who's on the Nomad of Nowhere team, who watches the show. Howdy. But it was from following him and seeing all of the stuff. Jordan made his favorite third base coach. Because there's one that's in the pile that's just like doing this, like waving somebody home. Yeah. There's a lot. We're getting off topic. Please
Anyway, Stacey, thoughts on this first episode?
I have so many questions. I know. And I'm so interested in this world of magic. It could be so interesting. And we know so little. And there's a lot.
Should probably put another disclaimer here is that normally we save predictions for the end of our after show. However, given the nature that this is the continue and that, yes, there are so many questions here, I feel it's safe to assume we're going to be sprinkling predictions throughout.
I think we can also place a warning for those of you wearing headphones. I will probably blow out your audio levels on occasion because I just make noises when things are adorable.
So yes, Katie, initial thoughts.
Shout out to our iTunes listeners.
That was a gorgeous reaction.
I just want to take the Nomad somewhere, get him a cup of tea, and just let him rest. Like, wrap him in a blanket, give him a pillow, set up a tea service, and then we can do this and have a little be our guest number. Like, I just...
Oh my gosh.
I just want this man to be safe.
Yeah.
Because his life sucks.
First
and he's
of all,
adorable.
we have no defining features for the Nomad.
No?
We don't know what they are.
This is true.
They could be 3 babies in a trench coat, Like that's
What a twist!
It could be 3 rocks
This
and a
theory-
glowing bug.
This theory holds water.
that's the thing is we know nothing about the Nomad. So the fact that they are the only features that we have are their clothing.
Yes.
So the fact that the Nomad can be anything. And I really hope that they don't wait too long so that people's imaginations can go wild. Like maybe as the finale you get like the hat removed or something, and maybe you see hair, maybe you don't, maybe you see a rock, maybe whatever.
I think
just waiting on that reveal, and maybe we never get a reveal, and that's fine.
Talking about predictions, it is interesting to think about whether or not the image of him in that wanted poster is artistic license, so to speak, or if it actually is kind of more of a reflection of what this Nomad is capable of. Like whether or not there is kind of a dark side to this admittedly very, very cute character. It's just adorable.
Malcolm said cute. Very cute RT character or cutest RT character?
Cutest.
I'm trying to think.
I mean,
Penny
your
was pretty
competition is
cute.
Zwei.
Zwei's very cute.
What was Caboose's robot?
Sheila?
Freckles.
Oh,
Freckles.
Freckles.
Yeah, Freckles is pretty cute.
Freckles is adorable.
Especially in gun mode.
Yeah, I guess put
The
your
American in me.
Put your comments below as to who you think cutest RT character
We'll do a
is.
poll. We'll do a Twitter poll after the episode.
That sounds great.
Like how the Crunchyroll Awards had Best Boy and Best Girl. we'll do like Best RT character.
Best RT
or
character.
cutest.
Cutest.
Yeah. Something like that.
Best Nomad. Best Magician. Anyway, so yeah. Getting this initial look at the world, the one of the first images that we get is this 2-headed armadillo, and that to me spoke volumes. It's kind of as just the type of world that this exists in, and I really appreciated that little detail because this is a world very unusual, very different from our own, and we get pieces of that when we also look at the bits of nature and the Nomad's relationship with it. And they find this little oasis area in this otherwise desert wasteland where there's a sign talking about world building and kind of just dropping in story hints here or there, where there's a sign saying do not enter, but on the other side of it saying do not leave. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to predictions. I have a lot of questions about the Nomad and whether or not somebody actually took him to this oasis and put a sign saying, don't leave because this is the only place you will be safe.
We also get that little flash of memory from him. We assume that that's a little flash of memory, but my gosh, that rattled all of my everything. Because you have certain preconceptions going into this. Oh, okay, it's kind of like this, and he's this character. Wait, what? Was that from his past? Who was that person? What's going on here? And it's just enough to rattle every preconceived notion you may have had about this series, but not nearly enough to start building on.
That's true. That's true. Mark, you mentioned representation in the cast, and I definitely have to admire that as well. I very much appreciate a show that likes dealing with representation. Is that your favorite part of the world building so far, or are you more intrigued by the sort of magical elements?
I actually do think the representation so far, and without sort of spoiling anything about episode 2, it kind of goes further into what that world is, and even not just being strictly Spanish-based, Mexican-based, Central American-based characters. Like, we do have, like, all intents and purposes, a white Texan in Ryan Haywood's character. Very, very Texan. But
that last time.
Prepubescent.
yeah. I actually, if I remember correctly, Jethro, actually, I think is his name. But Red Manuel and some of, I'd really like Red Manuel. But
I do too, in that sort of, I would like to throw you over a cliff, but my God, you're fun to watch.
It's a wrestling thing where the bad guys are so bad that you will pay to see them beat up. So it's one of those things where I can't wait, especially by the end of this episode, seeing him get his, like, can he just be the physical foil of everything this season? But on top of that, when you mentioned the sign, the fact that you just spin it, we don't know which direction it was,
That's
originally facing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Stacey?
I know. I like the sign and then the implications later when we see the Nomad kind of hesitating at that very clear threshold, where that was very clearly two different worlds, and I think seeing the worlds clash like that is definitely what I'm most intrigued about, and seeing how and why they are clashing so much when it seems maybe that hasn't always been the case.
Yeah.
Well, and what kills me is that we have essentially this desert wasteland. We have people crossing the desert in covered wagons. We have and then you have this beautiful, lush, verdant area. And what's your answer? Burn it down.
It can hurt a lot.
This is so nice. Burn it to the ground.
Like, how is something that green burning that quickly? 1. And 2, there are so many resources here. Why would you? Okay,
well,
whatever.
magical forests are the most flammable. Don't you know that?
Obviously.
That's
it's
science.
all
She right.
magic.
You're right.
It's the liquid octarine that just goes up.
Magic is basically like the nitroglycerin, and it just causes the entire forest to explode. So yeah, looking at this, I have so many questions about this world, and there's so much. I feel like there's so much in the subtext of what we have that relies off of visual storytelling, and I feel like we really could spend like the entire after show just kind of digging into those details. But we have other characters to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the introduction we get to Scout and Toph. Toth. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I
It
was
sounds
thinking
like
Avatar.
Yeah.
It's really hard not to.
Yeah, especially.
Given the design, it's hard
But
not to.
Toth and Scout, we get our introduction to what seems to be our two leading ladies. Katie, what are your initial thoughts on these two characters?
Bless this tiny nerd, and also I'm pretty sure a corkscrew knife with spikes on it does not work quite as effectively as you'd want.
I'd say it works just fine.
Essentially,
It works exactly like it's supposed to.
Visually does the job, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I adored this interaction. It was a really good way of introducing our characters without going, this is the leader, and she's tough and stabs things, and this is our bookish one. She reads books and has no practical experience. Like, it doesn't do that. It's like, all right, just making sure I get everything packed. Knife, knife, knife. But why, though?
Like, we've got so many.
For stabbing. Okay. We have about as many books as we have knives.
It's also a knife.
It's also a knife. And I love that the books prove to be more useful than the knives, just not in the way that books are usually useful.
But there's some of that
figure.
there's some of that subtext that I'm a fan of, because it's a thing of Scout showing her respect for what had come before, whether it's guides that were written down by people who have lived these lives, and it's this troop for Don Paragon that is like whatever, like, and even the Nomad and like whatever the and both ways of what's Kylo Ren's line?
Let the past die.
Let the past die, kill it if you have to. But sort of a thing in terms of like people not regarding what happens before, so they're bound to make the same mistakes.
History repeating itself.
Yeah. Great album by the Megas. Go check it out.
Also, I love that you did the voice for the Kylo Ren line. Like, you went for it.
If you have to.
He did it way better. But you bring up a good point about her, digging into the past, because there's a lot of knowledge that can be gotten from the past. But ultimately, she has to burn those books in order, she has to let go of the past in order to get out of the forest.
And if I may, in a callback from last week, burn my book. Burn my book.
Don't burn my book. Those aren't for burning.
Did you hear?
Jesus Pando in chat says, I got 99 problems and a knife for each one.
Well, somebody said
I love
I ship Red Manuel and Toth's corkscrew knife.
I wonder actually if they're siblings. That could, like,
Interesting.
I got kind of like a sibling rivalry from them, and maybe that's not at all the case, but I kind of looked at them and I was like, that looks like two siblings competing for mom and dad's affection.
I definitely saw it as more of a professional rivalry,
It
just
could
because
just
you
be that,
see
yeah.
the person that has favor and the person that is trying really hard to curry favor, and just the back and forth between that, because their methods don't agree. One of them does not like being not like taking orders from the other.
He's
like,
too proud to admit it.
bless that idiot, I swear.
Stacey, your initial thoughts on Scout and Taw?
I love Scout already.
She's so cute. How do you not?
I know, and I like that she has already been introduced with this huge potential to grow and learn and adapt, and where, she only has books and she only has book knowledge, but already even in the first episode we see her kind of look at what's going on around her and make moves forward instead of like sticking to the no, this is what I know, books, so and I want to see how like knowledge is related to the magic of this world, and more than just throw the books away because they're not important. I want to see that knowledge actually kind of mean something to enhancing the world.
Yeah, because the Nomad is a relic of the past. The past is very important, but nobody seems to care. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a good attention to detail for sure.
And as we all know, knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
We're a little harmony there and everything.
Check is in the mail.
For me, go ahead.
Oh, just real quick about Scout. Evidently, she straight up has a crush on Toth, and this was confirmed in a draw-free video on Rooster Teeth.
Yes, and there are a couple moments that indicate sort of the nature of their relationship. There's the moment where Toth tosses the bag that Scout was carrying onto Red Manuel, and he collapses, and she just gives Scout this little smile, and like just the way her eyes lit up, you can definitely tell that she wanted nothing more than Toth's admiration in that moment. But then there's a moment later in the episode too where Scout gets knocked to the ground and Toth is on top of her, and she's very flustered by it. And
You heard it here first. Our next shipping special on Nomad of Nowhere. Kill me. But buy our new shirt. Anyway.
a peek behind the curtain.
I'm gonna not go to that show either and go back to the Overwatch League. Like, my perennial excuse. Bye.
A peek behind the curtain for you viewers and listeners out there. Mark yelled at my notes because I put shipping potential ?
It's Mark's
Sorry,
favorite
Mark.
thing to see in the notes.
I'm a fan of sailing
Should we just
and yacht practices.
not shipping them?
It's a joke.
Oh no, they sunk our ship. It was sad. There was one show, Steven Universe, there's an episode where literally a headcanon is used to sink a ship. It was.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah,
beautiful.
yep. It was a
was
pretty
beautiful.
funny joke in an otherwise
I
very
rented
weird
that.
episode. In an otherwise very weird episode. Anyway, neither here
Oh
nor
yeah,
there.
that one.
Neither here nor there. Point being is that in a discussion about representation, LGBTQ representation is important too, and it's nice that we waited for a while in RWBY to get that sort of representation. It's nice to kind of have it from the get-go with Nomad. They wasted zero time.
Launching with different body types already, and not just. I mean, this was sort of a limitation of the engine that they were using in early RWBY, but a lot of similar body types.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was thinking less in terms of body type representation because of the limitations of the engine, and more in terms of the LGBTQ, because that's something we got questions about all the time in the early days of our recap show. But yeah, Red versus Blue eventually started adding characters like that, and RWBY, we got Elia this past season, so it's nice that Nomad just, again, wastes no time and says, yeah, our two leads, this character has a crush on this character. That's pretty cool.
And according to Malachroma, it was Issa that confirmed it.
Oh, Issa!
Thank you, Issa!
Hope you're enjoying your vacation.
Yeah.
She's in Japan right now.
Jealous.
I'm so
Great.
jealous.
So jealous.
I feel like we're all super jealous of Issa right now. She is living her
Just
best
in
life.
general, you see that haircut? She is killing it.
She
Fair.
is. I hope she's having fun. And speaking of fun, guys, if you guys want to have fun, learn and grow in all areas of your life, for those who do, have we got the podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life, from health and wellness to career, relationships, finance, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know that it was Rooster Teeth Reviews who sent you there.
Hashtag RT Reviews.
Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition. Check it out.
Definitely do. She, I mean, a little bit before I started working for AfterBuzz, but even more since. She's got a great mind and great cookbooks too, and I would recommend those as well. And not just because we're here on her network, but Maria has a great voice and a great opinion. Check out the show. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Indeed. Agreed. 100%. So, guys, we talked a little bit about our two leading ladies. Let's talk about the Nomad himself.
We have a question in the chat,
Absolutely.
or a comment in the chat that I think is interesting from
Go for
Nicholas
it.
Brennan. I don't think the Nomad can get angry.
Oh.
I would like to think that there is a reason the way that the Wanted poster looks the way it does. And I would not be surprised if the Nomad was kind of a trope namer for Fear the Quiet Ones. I love it. There's a reason that he's a wanted man, and I don't think it's just because he's the last magical person or the last magical anything.
Well, there's an inherent fear mongering in that as well. Of any being, any mortal person that claims to be the ultimate power in the world, being whether it's like being talked to by the gods or whatever. I was voted here. I defeated the dragon. I pulled the sword out of this mountain or whatever. Anybody who claims to have that ultimate power, if they're, whether it's for good reasons or bad, though it's usually bad, there's always that one thing. And I'm sure it's not Dom Perignon. I'm pretty sure not, like, Dom Perignon isn't the be all end all major bad guy. I'm sure we'll hear about it soon, but I'm sure it's something where they were a scared child and saw something in the darkness, and maybe that's where that image came from. But I think it's from a completely ignorant point of view. Well, I really do like yours. I just specifically, men in power are very corruptible and still very boyish.
Oh yeah.
So,
and I'm coming at this from, I've made no secret of the fact that Trigun is my favorite anime ever. Full stop. And coming at this from that kind of point of view, because it's a Western on a desert planet and some things are very rare, and one of our main characters has this huge bounty on his head, and it's because property damage keeps happening around him. And you find out that, yeah, no, he is special, and there are reasons that some of these things are happening, but so much of it is people keep going after him to try to get the bounty, and they wind up wrecking things around him, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse, and the bounty gets higher and higher. But for the most part, it's not his fault.
No, but everybody
There's
blames
just
him anyway.
awful- yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is a very similar situation for the Nomad.
Makes sense.
Stacey, thoughts?
Yeah, I can see it going either way, and it's too early for just after the first episode for me to decide which one I like better. I like the. I like the idea of it having been like a myth that grew out of nowhere. Like, no, he is not an angry character. He does not have like an angry bone in his body, maybe. But that over time, did you hear about this Nomad who can do these amazing feats? He must be dangerous. He must be dangerous. And it's just growing and growing and growing and becoming like its own horrifying creature.
I heard he has a six-pack.
I hear he
That's the
does
most
car
terrifying
commercials in Japan.
Yeah.
The Nomad punched me in the face once. It was awesome.
That's where I was going with that.
I kind of looked at the Nomad, and I love all of these interpretations and all of these theories. I'm wondering if a lot of kind of the lore around him is surrounded because it manifests itself because he doesn't seem to have the ability to speak himself. And so I'm wondering if maybe it did start like that with somebody wanting his magical abilities and he doesn't really necessarily have the means to tell them no. They cause a big ruckus and the entire town blames him and he can't defend himself. And again, we're using the pronoun he, but really they, because we don't know.
Yeah.
We're using he because they use he.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, but
an
just
easy
remind me to
shorthand.
tell you something after that I made a decision about Welcome to Veil. But yeah. Anyway,
good to know.
yeah,
I'm
just
really
randomly
excited.
before I forgot.
Becca Derkin in chat says, I wonder if his only power is, or if there is something more than that, that's the reason for the fiery guy. I would not be surprised.
Well, I actually want to say specifically, Becca mentioned clap on, give life.
Yep.
Is there a clap off?
I just keep going to Five Nights at Freddy's. Give life.
Clap on, clap off.
Yes.
You're done now. Oh, jeez. You can't save them, man. You can't save them. Or, guys, kind of not to go all Tales of the Crypt on it, but maybe somebody close to him died and he tried to clap on.
Oh, that's so sad. Why would you say that?
That's a real dark territory.
The house was okay and there was a woman in it.
You guys are the one that was talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. Don't blame me for taking it there.
No, it's a valid direction.
Don't worry, I will fix you.
The old Tinkerbell defense. You better keep applauding or she's gonna die.
Thank you. Oh my god.
Pepsi fan 24. Nomad is a magical being in a desert. Nomad is a maiden. Nomad confirmed for Ruby Volume 6.
Oh, yeah. I love
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
it. Summer Maiden. Yeah, right?
And everyone.
And Balacroma
Totally.
just says, Megan, no. The whole chat's yelling
Bumming
now.
everyone
and I
out.
love it.
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Clap on. Clap off.
Do we all vote to put Megan in the brig? That's yep.
Okay.
Well,
For those of you listening on iTunes, 3 hands were raised. 3 hands were raised. So I'm going to just do the rest of the episode from the brig.
Pepsi fan 24 says, Weekend at Nomads.
so solid. Dude, I love Pepsi Fan. Pepsi Fan is also a freaking contributor to the NXT panel, which I do just before this one, and yeah, he does great.
I think that's my favorite comment for this episode so far.
Fan artist.
That
was a pretty good one.
Fan art, oh my god.
But talking about kind of bringing the little creatures to life, potentially being the only thing he can do, when the fire does break out, we don't really know the extent of his magical abilities. Maybe his relationship with nature is magic-based, like that's part of his power, because when the fire starts, he doesn't magically like run to a river and start water bending or anything like that. He doesn't create rain clouds to put out the fire. He goes and he enlists the help of an animal to help.
The sprinkler hippo.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if he was as powerful as everybody says, then like you'd think that a being like that could just clap his hands and the wind would like blow out the fire throughout the entire jungle. I'm really wondering if that's the extent of his abilities and if maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe he was initially like the Nomad in the Wanted poster and somebody put sort of magical inhibitors on him and put him in that oasis and is like, you stay here, don't leave. And it completely changed his personality and maybe even fragmented his memories. Who even knows?
That opens up some interesting like paths we can take.
And maybe since it is nature-based, based on the surroundings, the Nomad's powers, abilities, sensibilities, attitudes may change.
Ooh.
And maybe because maybe sort of a thing of violence begets violence, anger begets anger, things like that. Maybe because of a public outcry, a mob, an angry mob, a lynching, or this, that, or the other thing, or something so angry pointed at him that power was in turn pointed back. And let me just say, this past 10 minutes of conversation is exactly why the Nomad has a wanted level, and that is wanted and has that image.
Because it's the mystery of what sort of magic can do.
Exactly.
And he's been they made a comment about nobody's seen him for a century. Like, and you still expect him to be alive? That comes with an expectation that he ain't human.
That he's
because humans have about a century in them, give or take.
Well, and also that there has been other, there is other magic that has existed in this world before, potentially, or that there is a relationship with magic from the past that clearly does not exist anymore in this present world.
Yeah, he was not something new. Magic seemed to have been a thing, and the world is now devoid of it. How did that come about? Man!
Yes. Kane's Child brings up a good point. Keep in mind that some of the things he animated were Toth's knives. What if the things he animates take on the traits of their purpose?
Oh.
And that's why he's wanted. And he just animated the wrong thing.
I mean, Rock did do a violence in the episode.
Oh,
but
no.
that Rock did not care. It was great.
I like to refer to one specific Rock as Big Brother. And so far, that Rock is my favorite.
I straight up yelled, "Oh my god, a giant rock." So, that's how I live my life.
And oddly enough, so did Nikki watching this in Camp. This is all, it's all a tale being woven.
Guys, we
This
even
is Camp
have
Camp
a
Season
moment.
3.
We
This is Camp
even
Camp
have
Season
a
3.
moment where the Nomad creates a stage to perform to give his life story. Guys, yeah. Deep cut theory here. What if this is all a Preston production?
Okay,
Preston is playing Red Manuel and every single one of the Dandelions.
This is all Preston's one-man show.
And
Nikki is playing Toph.
No, Nikki's playing Scout.
And bit over. Yeah, we were kidding. It was just a bit.
Although, yeah, I have to say, vocal performances all around, no joke, fantastic so far.
Yeah.
And
I
I like-
especially like the vocal performance for the Nomad. I thouut that was really good.
Oh, yeah.
Very nuanced, for sure.
The Nomad is Preston. This is how Preston got his powers.
Preston all along.
Damn it,
That's
Preston.
where he's hiding now.
Yeah. Oh crap! I was gonna.
Had a
Guys,
flash
what
of
What if Camp
inspiration.
Camp is the prequel to Nomad of Nowhere? Preston is the origin.
Don Pentagon
gonna
is voiced by Travis
submit-
Willingham.
Oh my god.
Hey, everybody!
I'm just going to to cement down that rabbit hole and let's.
Okay. That's done. Bit over. Moving on.
But in terms of vocal talent, I legitimately thought that Toth was voiced by the same actress who does from Steven Universe.
Kimberly.
That's not the character.
She does
Not
Jasper.
Jasper.
Yeah, Kimberly does that.
Kimberly
Okay.
Brooks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But is that the same person
Princess
that voices
Allura.
Toph?
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is it? I was like, is that? No, it's not. Weird, but it reminds me if Toph and Jasper fused, I guess would be the proper terminology. We'd get Toph.
That's a good description.
We have the same comment coming from two different people: Pepsi fan and Please Clap, who has such a great name for this chat.
Please Clap.
The Nomad has the same the Nomad has the same voice actor as Neo. I love you both. That's beautiful.
Chat, you're on my last nerve. Keep going.
Play it like a
Carry
fiddle.
on. All right, so
We've been all over the place. I'm really happy we're doing one episode per, because dang.
yeah, me too. We've been a little bit all over the place.
A little bit.
That being said, there's. It's fine.
I'm just patient.
Okay. That being said, there is a lot to be said about the people who are chasing him, like Red Manuel and like the Dandelions, who look like they're only doing it at the behest of Don Paragon. Toth seems to be doing it, I guess, because Don Paragon is after the Nomad, but also she seems to kind of want this notoriety as well. It makes me wonder about her motivations for being there and about Red Manuel's motivations. The Dandelions themselves just sort of seem like grunts who kind of have to do it and have to be dressed the way they are.
They're
while
along
they
for
do
the
it.
ride.
I imagine one of them being like, "Do we have to be called the Dandelions? Anything? No, okay."
No one else has a problem with this. No one.
Just me? Okay. Toth seems like the kind of person who rose to the rank she did on the back of many successes, that she's had a fair number of successful missions, and that ever since she started chasing the Nomad, it's been failure after failure after failure. And for someone who built their reputation and their position on success, that many failures stacked up is a blow to you yourself, to your ego, to your personality, to this reputation that you've built up. And you are in danger of losing that position, and losing that reputation for competence. So I'm not surprised that she's mad at the Nomad and that she's starting to take this personally, because her career was all success until she started chasing that guy.
We saw what it did to Zuko, even though there was a different connotation to the reason why he was banished. But I have a lot of opinions next week.
Okay. I just look at her and I'm like, this is the type of person who obviously has the capacity for good inside of her, because they think that the Nomad is evil, and also, she stands up for Scout. She's definitely a person. She's definitely human, but she also has the potential to go down the route of villainy, being blinded by her own ambition. She was very quick to jump to fire as the last possible resort.
Oh, hey, there's a fire. Let's make more of it.
Everything should be on fire. Yeah, she had a very one-note course of action through this first episode.
Everything should be on fire. Popped me. That was good.
F is for fire that burns down the whole town. N is for no survivor.
We got you.
She was very quick to jump to fire.
I have a lot of theories next week.
Okay.
Hey.
The only other kind of thing I want to point out about Scout in particular is that it's kind of typical to have a bookish character who's out looking for adventure. One of the things I kind of took away from this episode upon a rewatch is that I wonder if she's so dead set on being intellectually smart and getting as much knowledge as she can from all these books is because she's a little bit self-conscious of being stupid. Well, the thing she says twice in this episode is, "I'm such a dunderhead." Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering if at some point in her past somebody said, you're a dunderhead, you're an idiot. And so she was like, I can't do that anymore. And just buried herself in books to be as smart as she could be.
It may also be that intelligence and knowledge of the forest and of wilderness is what she brings to the field, because otherwise she doesn't seem to be very combat ready. She's essentially their pack mule. So if she
Carry lots of things.
if she is able to bring some intelligence and some knowledge into this and help that way, that's why those books are so important to her, because this is everything that we'll need to know. And I'm in charge of it. So I can help people with what they need to know. And then we have that scene with Red Manuel and the flower and the really awful, awesome sound effects with his water balloon hand.
Terrible.
It was great, but also like, ooh,
Mark.
that's not supposed to make that noise.
You were going to chime in?
I was. I don't like interrupting people. I think that Toth is it. Not Toth. Excuse me. I think that Scout is the perennial. Why am I losing it? Spinal Tap drummer. when it comes to people that go out on these missions, whether it's of their own demise or nature or whatever,
The person who's constantly
Scout's
replaced.
the person who's just been waiting for her chance, and now it's finally it, and she's been reading all of these books, and the book says, you need this, okay, throw it in a bag. You need this too, okay, and throws it in her bag, and the bag has gotten so big, she's like, whatever the books say, I need them all, and she will be ready. I think it's gonna be the Felix's magic bag of, oh, I've got that, and like a 10-foot pole comes out or something, maybe not that
15 knives.
it's something. Well, we got knives covered.
Not necessarily a Mary Poppins.
And they're alive. The knives
Knife
are
to
alive.
They think it's knife to meet you.
Okay.
Oh, come on, I'm just taking a stab at it.
You're in the
But you
brain.
did get my point.
You're in the brain.
Yeah, the
now.
times you're out, and then
Katie in the
we're.
brain.
I live here.
But I do want to shout out Miraculous Corazon for putting a killer SpongeBob reference in the chat. I apologize for
No.
interrupting.
No.
Stacey, go ahead.
So to Mark's point about how Scout has everything she could possibly need for any given situation, I think that's absolutely going to be true, but none of the things she expected to need these things for is what she's actually going to need them for.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of already seen that happening.
Ooh.
To be like, oh, we need this to do like something completely wild, and you're like, oh, well, I had that for cooking, but yeah,
Thinking
like,
outside
I
the box.
got it.
And that makes sense for how they're using the books. We'll use them
Yeah.
as a stepping stone.
Not in this conventional book learn way. It's
Yeah.
the difference between knowledge, like book learning, knowledge, and then wisdom and actual practical application.
Dig it.
Well, guys, sadly, we are running short on time. Do we have any final thoughts on this episode?
Cat's just yelling at me for making terrible puns, and I'm very happy.
I have so much to talk about next week.
I feel like we could spend another hour just talking about the Nomad and talking about his mannerisms and
And
all-
we will next week.
Don't worry, you got time.
next week for sure. Do we have any final predictions that we just want to throw out there for the rest of season 1?
I'm expecting things. Oh, we got the thing.
There will be ghosts in the next episode.
And the light show and the
That's a
scream
callback.
off, scream on, scream off.
So yeah, regardless of whether or not you've seen the next episode, any thoughts for this season as a whole in terms of where it could go?
I'm expecting things to get a whole lot worse before they get any better. I'm also expecting to get maybe little flashes of insight for the Nomad, but if we get any answers, we will get like one answer before the end of the season, and it won't be a big one. Like, I think they're gonna milk it.
I mean, honestly, during the episode, I thought that the little flower he brought to life and gave to Scout was going to like be her companion throughout the rest of the season, and that theory was cut very short.
Nope, it's dead
very
now.
quickly. So I don't think I can predict anything.
died.
I brought my flower in memory of the flower that didn't make it an episode.
Rip in peace.
Well, Daisy.
So my theories are not working out very well so far. So
You're like, my heart can't take anymore.
I'm gonna step back and just let things happen.
Mark?
Yeah. I would like the Nomad to learn a new spell, whether it's positive or negative. Or like, I'd rather we see a new ability, whether it's good or bad. And the last comment I wanted to say is I realized it watching episode 2, but this isn't inherently plot related to episode 2 at all. You know those videos that you see coming across Facebook and Twitter where people put the videos where people put googly eyes on like random objects and like make them characters and stuff?
Yeah.
I think that was the impetus for the show. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way whatsoever. But it's like, what if a guy could do that? I like that. So I just, yeah, I realized that, and we're just going to get more cute things with googly eyes.
I feel like, given that they mentioned how Samurai Jack was definitely an influence for this show, I feel like a lot of this is going to be the Nomad going from place to place, and in very true Western fashion, Vampire Hunter D always liked to do this too. He's going to go to a place and he's going to walk, into the sunset, not being accepted by that place. So that's just a very Western kind of John Wayne thing to do. So I think that's sort of how the episodic nature of the series is going to go. So we shall see.
I wonder who Scaramouche is going to be. Also voiced by Tom Kenny.
Oh my god, that would be great.
Oh my god.
Robot Scaramouche in this show would be amazing.
Oh, Sharpay. Before we go, I just wanted to shout out something that we started last week. We announced it last week, and we've kept it going this week. Steve, if you can bring that image up for the folks watching on YouTube. This is a little look at our new Rooster Team store. It is tpublic.com/theroosterteam. We've got two products up, or two designs up, which you can have on a variety of different products. We've got the Welcome to Vale logo that we used last week, and that we're going to keep using in perpetuity on our YouTube channel, ABTV Rooster Team, which is where the first episode is living, and where the future episodes are going to be, as well as a new shirt, which is sort of a parody of the I Hate the Bands You Like from back in the day of RVB. They've since updated the graphic. So I made a joke of it, and the shirt says, I hate the ships you like. Within 25 to 30 minutes of me putting that design up, we already got a sale, which I find really funny. But the thing about TeePublic is when you put stuff up for 48 hours, it's $14 for a t-shirt instead of 20. So you'll be helping us out, and you'll also be helping yourself out because it's on discount, and it will last. If you're watching this now live, this will last through like half day Thursday. So take advantage of it before, and if any other sales happen, we will be sure to let you know. But we are going to be updating this every week for a couple of weeks until we have a fair amount of stuff up. But please help support us and help support our terrible Rooster Teeth addiction by I'm so sorry for beating the table. I know that's annoying, but by help support us. There's stickers, notebooks, bags, not just shirts, but you can get it on a variety of things. But help us out. That's tpublic.com/theroosterteam. Check it out. Help us out. And we love you.
Yeah, we want to say thank you guys for being supportive of our creative endeavors and allowing us to do stuff like this. It's through your guys' continued support that we can do stuff like that. So thank you all so much. Katie, where can people go if they want to find you?
Hi, all my buddies. You can follow me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. If you would like to see reactions to these episodes, that's the YouTube channel where they live.
I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me all over the web at Stacey Shuttles. You can also find me over at Twitch with Inventory Full PT. We do a weekly gaming show Monday nights at 6 p.m. We also play video games throughout the week and stream all of our weird adventures.
But recently you played Far Cry 5.
Yeah, I'm pretty deep in that hole.
And just because it's so damn fun, we played it as a group a little while ago. I want to do more Sea of Thieves, and we're going to do more Sea of Thieves. So yeah, check that out at Inventory Full PT on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. Make sure to join our Rooster Teeth group, which is you can find at ABTV Rooster Team. Or no, I changed the HTML or the website recently, the slug, to the Rooster Team. So roosterteeth.com/group/the-rooster-team. That should be it. Either way, it's in our profile on our Twitter account, which is ABTV Rooster Team. Check out our store, and we're going to be doing Nomad for the foreseeable future. But if you want more Welcome to Vale, the best way to do it: one, support us on the TeePublic, and two, go to our YouTube page where we have reposted episode 1, just episode 1. That's where we're going to be putting the episodes in the future. We also have a post up on the Ruby Reddit. Upvote that, even though it's kind of taboo to ask for that. But but check it out, upvote it, comment it, tell people. We have a on the Rooster Teeth.
Spread the word.
Yeah, spread the word.
Tell your friends.
Yes, retweet it. And the more it gets out there, the more of a convincing it will be for us to do more and more frequently, and it will help us take time out of our day jobs in order to work on that more. So yeah, that's the end of my diatribe. Megan.
I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Menguin. That's TheMengua. And again, thank you guys so much. I can't wait to talk about the show again next week. So be sure to tune in live, and we will see you then. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.